Welcome back, everyone. If you're a GCSE Edexcel psychology student looking to completely lock in those top marks, you are in exactly the right place. I'm super excited to guide you through today's explainer because, honestly, it's not just a crucial part of your syllabus, it's a theory that might literally change the way you look at your own brain. Today, we're unpacking Carol Dweck's mindset theory. We're going to break down the core concepts, look at the real-world applications, and dig into the scientific evidence to keep everything super clear for your revision.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. What is mindset? 2. Fixed versus growth. 3. How mindsets are learned. 4. Real-world application. And 5. Evaluating the theory. Mastering these 5 steps is exactly what you need for exam success.
Section 1. What is mindset? Understanding the core concept. So, before we get into all the complex studies and data, we really have to ask, why do the beliefs we hold about ourselves actually matter so much for our educational achievements? Well, it all starts with a definition, and this is the fundamental one you absolutely need to memorize. A mindset is a set of beliefs someone has that guides how someone responds to or interprets a situation. Think of it like a giant invisible filter. It's the lens through which we view our ability to succeed. When you face a tough maths problem, your mindset dictates your immediate gut reaction to that challenge.
Section 2. Fixed versus growth, the Great Divide.
Now, Dweck doesn't just say we have some general, vague mindset. She divides these beliefs into 2 dramatically different categories. First up is the fixed mindset. This is the belief that your abilities are completely fixed and unchangeable. Essentially, you're either born smart or you aren't. People with this mindset, they usually only want feedback on their innate ability. They really don't use feedback to learn. And why is that? Because they are terrified of failure. For a fixed mindset, failing a test means confirming a permanent lack of ability. So, instead of risking failure and proving they aren't smart, they tend to just give up.
On the flip side, we have a real game changer, the growth mindset. This is the belief that practice and effort can absolutely improve your abilities. A person with a growth mindset isn't paralyzed by the fear of failure. Actually, they just see failure as a signal. It's an alert telling them, hey, I need to pay more attention, put in some effort, and practice. They are completely confident that with enough time, their skills will get better.
And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast between the two. It's absolutely perfect for your exam revision notes. The fixed mindset is all about innate ability, fearing failure, ignoring feedback, and giving up quickly. Meanwhile, the growth mindset knows that effort brings success, embraces the whole learning process, actively uses feedback, and willingly invests the time to practice. Grasping this comparison is the key to the whole theory.
Section 3. How mindsets are learned. Nature, nurture, and culture.
A massive debate in psychology is always nature versus nurture, right? Well, Dweck emphasizes a crucial point. We are not born with a mindset. It isn't genetic. We actually learn it from our parents, our teachers, and our environment. Let's look at how this happens. Imagine a teacher says, Owen failed the math test because he is low on maths ability. What's that telling Owen? Praising or criticizing innate intelligence totally traps a child. It forces a fixed mindset because it tells them their success is tied to something they literally cannot change.
But watch how tweaking the message builds a completely different outcome. What if the adult says this instead? Owen failed because he didn't do his homework, but he'll pass the next one because I'll make sure he puts in the time and practices. By pinning the failure on a lack of effort, the adult is actively building Owen's growth mindset. They're showing him he has the power to change his future results.
And what's fascinating is how this expands to entire cultures. In the US and Western Europe, there's a huge history of using intelligence tests, which naturally favors the idea of innate ability, so a fixed mindset. But in many Asian nations, especially China, the culture heavily emphasizes rigorous practice and education, which strongly fosters a growth mindset. It just goes to show, if mindsets are learned culturally, they can absolutely be changed.
Section 4. Real-world application. Test yourself. Okay, put your psychology hats on. We are doing a mini quiz. In your GCSEs, you'll be given scenarios and asked to apply the theory. Let's see how you handle it.
Scenario 1. Max doesn't do well at school because he does not try anything new. Does Max have a fixed or a growth mindset? If you guessed fixed mindset, you hit the nail on the head. Max avoids challenges because trying something new and failing might prove he lacks ability. Classic fixed mindset.
Next one. Kayla now reads better having asked her mother to help her to practice. Fixed or growth? The answer is a growth mindset. Kayla isn't discouraged by struggling. She knows that getting help and putting in the practice will bring success. Last one.
Grace felt she was not good at maths because that is what she was told. What do you think? Fixed mindset, for sure. This perfectly shows how external messages from adults directly shape a student's internal beliefs about their own unchangeable ability.
Section 5. Evaluating the theory. Strengths and weaknesses. So the crucial point is this. You understand the theory, but evaluating it is where the absolute biggest exam marks are. We need to look at both the scientific evidence supporting it and its limitations.
Let's start with the strengths, specifically the hard science. Check out this number, 128. That's the number of children, 70 girls and 58 boys, who took part in a pivotal 1998 study by Muller and Dweck in the USA.
And what they found was huge. They proved that praising a student's ability led directly to a fixed mindset. Those kids literally couldn't cope with setbacks later on. But praising effort or strategy? That created a growth mindset with significantly more perseverance. That is powerful. Scientific proof that praise dictates behavior.
But wait, the evidence gets even stronger. Here is another massive data point for your exams, 1,500. This is the number of students involved in a 2012 study by Yeager and Dweck. They looked at low-achieving students and found something incredible. The students who were actively taught a growth mindset ended up performing way better academically than a control group. This is a massive strength of the theory because it proves real-world application. Teaching a growth mindset can literally boost school grades.
But hey, no theory is flawless, and you have to know the weaknesses. A major criticism is that hyper-focusing on a child's mindset can sometimes end up blaming the kid. If a student isn't progressing, telling them they just need a growth mindset might actually be ignoring terrible teaching. A lack of progress isn't always the child's fault, and this theory can sometimes give bad instruction a free pass.
Plus, there's a big methodological flaw. A lot of these studies, including Dweck's, used artificial learning tasks. Sure, that controls extraneous variables, but it totally fails to measure natural behavior in a messy real-world classroom. Because of that, critics argue the studies lack ecological validity.
And that wraps up our deep dive into Dweck's mindset theory. You've got the definitions, the applications, and the critical evaluations to absolutely crush this on your paper. But I want to leave you with one final thought. Now that you understand the actual science of how we succeed, are you going to use a fixed mindset or a growth mindset to prepare for your GCSE exams? The choice and the effort is entirely up to you. Keep practicing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.